What's up, everyone? Welcome into DodgerHeads, presented by DodgerBlue.com. My name is Jeff Spiegel. I am joined by Matt Moreno because today we have special breaking news. Albert Pujols is signing with the Los Angeles Dodgers, released by the Angels earlier in the week. He has signed with the Dodgers. Breaking news again today. Jorge Castillo of the LA Times breaks this news. Matt, give me your 10-second reaction when the tweet comes across your timeline that Albert Pujols is a Dodger.
I had to read it twice to make sure I was reading it correctly, that, he has agreed to sign, not that maybe there was just talks, and then it's just been shocked since then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's absolutely, I think, the accurate one. I joked when he got released. I said Dodgers need a right-handed bat with the eyes emojis, and here we are. I was mostly serious about that, and I'm going to get into why. Although the likelihood that this was going to happen, we'll get into in a moment. So we'll get into how good or not good Pujols still is, but let's remember first that we're talking about one of the greatest baseball players of all times. This is a guy who's fifth all-time in home runs. He's top 30 for wins above replacement for his career, according to Fangraphs. And yes, he's not that player anymore, but depending on where you want to look, you could paint a picture of Pujols that isn't terrible. 2019, he did hit 23 home runs, OPS around league average. Yes, negative wins above replacement. 2020, home run pace similar. Every part of his slash line declines. 2021, every part of his slash line average on base and slugging goes down again. All this for a 41-year-old that can't play the field. So you might be wondering, what in the world are the Dodgers thinking? One part, I think, is the optimistic, hey, new city, new vibe, chance to win a championship. Maybe you get sort of a revitalization there. But I think the bottom line is the Dodgers need a right-handed bat off of the bench. Yes, Albert Pujols' ability to hit right-handed pitching has declined, but his ability to hit lefties has actually remained somewhat intact. This season, he's got almost a 600 slugging percentage against lefties. He's hitting about 260. And back in 2019, his last full season, it was fairly similar. So as I wrote down, this is just as much about Pujols as it is about the Dodgers roster. And last night's game, I think, is the best example. They had a left-handed pitcher on the mound. They didn't like Matt Beatty in that spot. So who did they go to? They went to DJ Peters. Who pinch hit right after DJ Peters? It was Luke Raley. Those two names are the reason the Dodgers signed Albert Pujols. He's 49-year-old Albert Pujols is a better option than DJ Peters and Luke Raley, I think. And so even when the Dodgers get healthy with Bellinger and McKinstry due back soon, they do need a right-handed bat off the bench. And I think, honestly, if you look at the 40-man roster, Pujols is far better than any option they have.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you hit the nail on the head with a lot of those points. I was of the opinion before a lot of the injuries kind of set in with Edwin Rios and McKinstry that the Dodgers were probably going to have to address their bench at the trade deadline this year, or, if somebody cleared waivers later on in the year, however it may have been. And if you look at it, they needed a right-handed bat. Now, kind of similar to you, when the news came out that he was released by the Angels, sometimes from the website account, we'll tweet out, hey, what do you guys think if the Dodgers were to sign so-and-so or trade for so-and-so? I didn't do it this time because I never thought like it would happen. It's just not really a signing that fits in the Dodgers mold.
Yeah.
They're a team that prioritizes defense as much as they do offense. And so it's a little surprising in that sense. But I think, like you said, really at the end of the day, it's just a matter of circumstance. If you look at the landscape of their roster, and now with Edwin Rios being lost for the rest of the season, once he has his shoulder surgery, they need somebody to play first base. You can't run Max Muncy out every single day.
Yeah. Yeah, and Sheldon Noisy's another option there. But again, they need bodies even when they're fully healthy, they're going to need bodies there. And, the interesting thing to me was one of the reasons Pujols left the Angels was because he wanted to play every day. So I think that's why most people assumed the Dodgers wouldn't be in play, because he's obviously not going to play every day for the Dodgers, let alone anybody who's trying to compete. And so I wonder a couple things. One, if he went around the league and found out, hey, you know what? Nobody actually wants me to play every day. And B, the Dodgers, he probably doesn't have to move. That might seem like a small, silly thing, but, we can go through that. The Anaheim Angels are not the Los Angeles Dodgers. Those are two different places, but they are at least close enough to say that maybe that was part of it. So one other thing you and I mentioned before is he signed for the rest of the season, and we were sort of joking, what does that mean? Is Pujols a Dodger for the remainder of the year no matter what? From my perspective, I would imagine that that's the kind of deal and agreement. Obviously, he's going to get paid. It's a guaranteed contract. That's how baseball works. But to me, it feels like the Dodgers are just going to have to ride this one out. I can't imagine there being any sort of way that the Dodgers would cut Albert Pujols loose again and make him deal with sort of the embarrassment again.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. I mean, every report echoing following Jorge Castillo was, for the remainder of the season. Not only that he signed a major league contract, but the caveat of for the remainder of the season. So my guess is there was, not a handshake agreement, but an understanding that, we're going to commit to each other through October, whatever the case may be, for better or worse. Albert Pujols, he obviously once was one of the most feared hitters in the game.
Yeah.
And like you said, if he's motivated now, if he feels like he was slighted by the Angels and he has something to prove, it could end up working out nicely for the Dodgers. At the end of the day, there's minimal risk.
Yeah.
That still doesn't change, I think, the surprise factor.
Yeah.
But, we'll kind of see what's the worst that can happen. He sort of continues to struggle. I mean, the Dodgers, like we both just touched on, they needed bodies on their bench.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you have World Series aspirations, then the designated hitter comes into play at some point in that situation. Pujols could fill that role. And I do think one other thing that's worth noting, he's a well-respected guy. So I think this is probably a boost for the clubhouse. It's not going to be a negative in any way, shape, or form, but Pujols is a legend. So you bring him into that clubhouse. He's not going to be the immediate commander of the clubhouse, but I think it's going to be a positive thing. So, Matt, let me get you out of here with this. What % chance do you think you look back on this signing and say, raving success? However you want to define that. I don't think anybody's expecting Pujols to hit 300 with 25 home runs the remainder of the year. But I think if Pujols comes in and hits 250 with, like 8 home runs off the bench or something, like I think that would be a success. So what % chance do you give Albert Pujols of being considered a successful signing?
I'll give it about a 20% chance. And I get, like you said, he doesn't need to come in and hit the way he did when he was with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
If he provides them a little bit of pop off the bench, if Max Muncy can get a day off here and there, if Pujols is still with the team and they're in the postseason and he comes up with, a big single or a big double, not even necessarily a home run, everybody will say, it was a great signing, and they'll liken it to some of the other veterans the Dodgers have picked up along the way.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I'd say like 33. I think it's a 1 in 3 chance that this turns out to be successful. And ultimately, look, if the Dodgers win and become the team that we think they're going to be, then it's not going to be because or, in spite of Albert Pujols. Yeah. They're going to do their thing. And that if the Dodgers win, then Albert Pujols is going to be considered a success no matter what he does. But I'm an optimist. And so, yes, he's 41 years old, and yes, he has struggled. But I think the Dodgers are going to put him in positions to succeed, and only positions to succeed. I think he's coming into a clubhouse where there's no longer a miscommunication about expectations. He's coming in knowing, hey, you're not playing every day. You're going to be primarily the David Freese type role, right-handed bat off of the bench. I think he's going to fit into the clubhouse. And I think just being on a team with World Series aspirations, which he hasn't been on ever since he was in Anaheim, I think is going to be a big deal. So I say 33%. As I say it out loud, you know what? I'm going to bump it up to 40%. I'm feeling confident here. I'm feeling confident. I want him to prove me right. And so anyways, at the very least, it's going to be fun. We get to root for one of the greatest baseball players of all time with the Dodger jersey on. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Of course, Matt and the folks over at DodgerBlue.com, DodgerBlue1958, everyone on social media. We'll have all the latest. I'm sure we'll have press conferences. I'm sure we'll have comments from Dave Roberts and Andrew Friedman at some point. So make sure you're subscribed here and make sure you check out DodgerBlue.com for all the latest. That's Matt Moreno. I'm Jeff Spiegel. We appreciate you joining us. As always, the words of Vince Scully to take us home.
The best team holding a trophy high in the air. The Los Angeles Dodgers, champions of the baseball world.